Case number 2025-0401. The tragic murder of Chris Goldberg. Tonight, we uncover the truth behind his untimely death. Who wanted him gone? How did it happen? And most importantly, why? Join us as we dissect the crime scene, follow the evidence, and piece together the final moments of Chris Goldberg's life. Every clue tells a story, and every detail could lead us to the killer. This is The Investigation.
My name is Nazima Mustafa, and I'm the investigator for this case. First, I want to talk about the lab results for each piece of evidence. We have the bullet, the gun, the bloody footprint, the water bottle, the deteriorated foot, the bottle of poison that was found, and pieces of ash all over. And then for our suspects, we have Vanessa Goldberg. She's suspect 1. Her relationship to the victim is the sister. Our second suspect is Ayama Batty. Her relationship to the victim is the girlfriend. And then for suspect 3, we have Jane Cook, and her relationship to the victim was the mistress. The bullet, both Ayama and Jane have a leg injury, although Ayama does have a wound in her leg that is most likely from a bullet. The bullet has no correlation to Vanessa Goldberg. The gun obviously was tested, it has the victim's fingerprints on it. And the bloody footprint was tested. It was right outside the door. It was a woman's size 7. Jane's shoe size is a size 8. Ayama's is a 7, and Vanessa is a 6. The water bottle had the victim's DNA on it, as well as the poison or cyanide that was put into it. This could be correlated to Ayama again because she works at Home Depot, and cyanide is found in some plants in Home Depot. The deteriorated foot was obviously the victim's, and the ash indicates signs of fire. This could correlate to Jane Cook because she does have experience with fire due to her being a firefighter, as well as the victim's co-worker. Now I'm gonna go more into depth of each suspect and their relationship with the victim. So Vanessa Goldberg, she was the suspect's sister. Her means of committing this crime, she is capable. Her opportunity though, she did have an alibi. She went to go do gun training in Atlanta, and she spent the night there. Her receipts for the hotel checked out, so her alibi was verified. So there was no opportunity present for Vanessa. Her motive, she did have motive. Her and her brother were going back and forth of winning her parents' retirement money. They had a little bit of controversy going on there. Ayama Batty, she was the victim's girlfriend. Her motive was that she found out that he was cheating with his coworker Jane Cook. Her means, she was very capable. She had resources available from Home Depot where she worked, such as a poison. And her opportunity, her alibi did not check out. She said that she was working at the time of his death, which was March 24th at 11 p.m. Home Depot closed at 9:30 p.m. that night. So her alibi did not check out. Her opportunity was readily available. And then for suspect 3, Jane Cook, his coworker and mistress, she was capable. Obviously her motive could have been that she found out she was the other woman, although she was out of town for her mother's birthday trip, and this was verified with plane tickets. Collecting all of the evidence that we have, obviously the bloody footprint was a size 7. Who was a size 7? I am that. She had resources easily accessible from Home Depot. Her alibi was a lie, did not check out. Motive was clear. The DNA results for the bloody footprint. I have suspect 1, which was his sister, suspect 2, which was Ayama, and suspect 3, which was the mistress. This was the blood from the footprint, and it matches up specifically to suspect 2, which is Ayama. And I'm assuming this is coming from the wound in her leg from where she was shot after poisoning the victim. Yep, my name is Dr. Arya Moon. I'm the Chief Medical Examiner, and this is case number 2025-0401. The rigor mortis set in around 2 to 6 hours after death, and it peaked around 12 to 24 hours. The victim had no remaining stiffness, meaning that rigor mortis had fully resolved, aligning with a 7 to 10 day postpartum time frame. Algor mortis was not reliable because the body was burned. Normal algor mortis calculations were not reliable in this case. However, partial tissue preservation in unburned areas supports that the death occurred before the fire was set. The victim's livor mortis was fixed on the back because they were face down, meaning that the body was moved after death, likely as a part of an attempted cover-up. For the time of death, the 7 to 10 day estimate is supported by rigor mortis resolution, fixed livor mortis, and decomposition stage. The presence of coal/ash and no soot in the lungs confirms the fire happened post-mortem. When connecting the suspect to the evidence, we can find that the DNA test results has blood at the scene matching suspect number 2, proving they were injured during the crime. The bullet casing and wound analysis, the victim shot suspect number 2 before dying, and the bullet casing found at the scene matches a gun registered to the victim. The bloody footprint matches suspect number 2's shoe size, meaning they fled the scene while bleeding. The poison jar contained residue matching the toxin found in the victim's system, suggesting suspect number 2 poisoned the victim. The fire evidence confirmed that the burn pattern suggests an accelerant was used, meaning someone intentionally set the fire after the murder, likely suspect number 2 trying to destroy evidence. The manner of the death is homicide, the cause of death is poisoning, confirmed by toxicology tests, the mechanism of death is respiratory failure due to neurotoxin poisoning. The toxicology report showed that the victim's stomach contained a lethal dose of poison, confirming poisoning. The gunshot wound analysis showed that the blood found at the scene matched suspect number 2, proving the victim fired a shot at them before succumbing to the poison. Fire damage analysis showed that there was no soot in the lungs, confirming the fire was set post-mortem. Everything coordinates with the declared time of death, with the post-mortem fire staging and a failed cover-up by suspect number 2. In conclusion, the victim realized they were being poisoned and shot suspect number 2 before dying. Suspect number 2 fled while bleeding, then returned later to set the fire, attempting to destroy evidence. The cause of death was poisoning, not the gunshot or fire.
My name is Wendy Garcia, and I'm the sketch artist, and I'm going to be going over what's required on a final draft crime scene sketch. So first things first, you need a direction pointing north to orient the person looking at the sketch so they know which direction they're looking at. Secondly, you need 2 measurements from each piece of evidence, 2 immovable objects that form a 90-degree angle. So as you can see, each piece of evidence on the sketch has 2 measurements that go to a respective wall and have the respective measurements. You can also form triangulates if you'd like, but on this one, we just did the 90-degree angle one. And then you also need all of the case information just so you can match the crime scene sketch to the actual case. So some important things are like address, case number, date of the crime, date that it was sketched, victim name, type of crime, the artist's name, things like that. And then you also need a key just to correspond with the evidence on your sketch. So for our sketch, we did A through H, and we also did corresponding shapes for each piece of evidence, just to kind of make that more clear. So all of these measurements and all of the information should be able to orient the person viewing the sketch in order to accurately depict what happened on the day of the crime.
My name is Michaela McMorris, the photographer. Slide 1 shows the crime scene, as well as slide 2. Slide 3 shows evidence piece 1, which is the bloody footprint and is the suspect's foot. Slide 3 shows evidence piece 2, which is the firearm, and this was taken because it was used as the weapon that shot the suspect. Slide 4, evidence piece 3 is the bullet casing that came from the firearm. Slide 5 is evidence piece 4, which was the poison water bottle that the victim drank out of. Evidence piece 5 is the foot of the victim and shows where they died. Slide 7 is the evidence piece number 12, which is the jar that contained the poison that was put in the water bottle. Slide 8 shows evidence piece 13, which is the char from the room. And evidence piece 14 and 15 is the char from the room as well. And that was taken to show that the cabin was burned down.
Evidence and processing analysis. For our search pattern, we used grid. It allowed us to carefully examine each segment, reducing the chance of missing any evidence. Evidence 1, bloody footprint. First, we photographed every angle of its original position. Then, we swabbed the blood from the footprint using a cotton swab and placed in an evidence bag to prevent contamination. Evidence 2, gun. Photographed in its original location, ensured the gun is rendered safe, collected using gloves, and packaged inside a secure evidence box, sent to a forensics ballistic lab for analysis. Bullet, photographed in its original location, collected using tweezers, then placed inside a small evidence envelope. After, sent to ballistics lab for more comparison with the original gun. Evidence 4, a water bottle, photographed in its original location. Suspect water contains a substance, and preserve any fingerprints or trace. Preserved in a cardboard box, then sent to a forensics lab specializing in fingerprints and toxology. Evidence 5, decaying foot. Photographs decaying foot, document its conditions and surroundings. Wear gloves and handle foot carefully. Should be placed inside an evidence body bag and sent to a forensics pathology for analysis and DNA testing. Evidence 6, burning ashes. Photograph the ashes and any objects within the surrounding area. Carefully collected samples of ashes using a scoop. Then carefully packaged inside a sealed evidence envelope. Then sent to a forensics, chemistry, and fire investigation to determine the origin of the fire.
Now that you've gone through the evidence collection, the investigation, the analysis, you have a more well-rounded picture of the crime.
We are now going to unfold what really happened in the tragic murder of Chris Goldberg.